My name is Marcia Robinson, and we are recording an oral history with Miss Rosa Lindsey as part of the Sweet MUMories Oral History Project. This project marks the 50th anniversary of the Miami University Middletown, Ohio campus. This interview is taking place on December 2nd, 2016 at the Gardner Harvey Library on the Middletown campus. Miss Lindsey, do I have your consent to proceed with this interview?
Yes, you did.
Thank you for joining us today. Would you mind telling us about your relationship to the Miami Middletown campus?
Well, my relationship to Middletown campus is I started a scholarship in my name because I have been given donation to other people for their scholarship, and it occurred to me, why can't I start my own? Why am I giving my money for someone else's scholarship? And I thought about what type of scholarship I wanted, and I decided that since people always say single parents, it's negative about single parents and they cannot do a good job of raising kids, and I am a single mother, and I wanted to give a scholarship to single African American women because I wanted to give them the ability to go out and look for jobs, to give their children the best kind of education and home environment that they possibly can give them.
I'd like to start talking about what might have inspired you to do that. So can you tell us about what your plans were for your own education once you were in Middletown High School? What were your plans?
Well, my plans when I was at Middletown High School always was, one teacher I had really talked about how the world was out there waiting for all of us when we graduate from high school. And I really believed her, and I thought when I graduate, I can't wait because there's a world out there that, can help me have a good living, better than my mother and that generation. So when I went to the employment office, they told me that I was only capable of doing housework. And that in itself, I couldn't believe it. Here it is, I thought Middletown. I went to high school, got good grades, and I couldn't figure out why is it that I could only do housework, and that really basically bothered me. So for 10 years, I caught the bus, coming out to the east end of town, clean houses. But I always noticed at the Middletown Journal, they had young women, younger than me or older than me, they worked there. And I wonder, why is it that I can't get a job there? Because we buy their papers. Why don't we have someone there that looked like us? So it took me 10 years. I went in every year. In fact, I think I probably went in every 3 months and put in an application. They always got thrown in the garbage can. So finally I lucked out. The receptionist that was at the desk also was the secretary to Mr. Mars. And on my application, she kept my application, but there was an N on it to say that I was Negro. I hope that's what it meant. And even though it was white out, it still showed through. And civil rights law came about. That's how I ended up at the Middletown Journal. After 10 years of trying, I stayed there for 15 years. Then I got moved upstairs to a boss upstairs, and Wally didn't like me, and I knew I would be in trouble, and I knew I would get fired eventually. So I was making 25 cents more than the girls upstairs. So he told me that he only each department got a budget, and they paid salary according to the way they want to pay it. So he told me it'd be 5 years before I got an increase in salary because the girls there I made 25 cents more than they did, so it was time for me to leave. So that's when I left there.
And where was the next step?
The next step, I went to a water refinery and worked there. But it was really basically, when my job got eliminated, they gave me a choice. Either they would accept for me to retire from there or clean the toilets. And I thought, I did that for a long time, and I wasn't going to do it again. So I told him I couldn't take that job. I would not accept that type of job. So I left and with pay. And then after that, I got involved in politics at the Board of Election, a Democrat Party. And my question was always, why is it that we campaign for candidates, we get them elected, and they forget about us? No one get hired anywhere. So it took me 6 years. I never gave up. And I decided if we can work for candidates, why shouldn't we have representation at the Board of Election? So I broke through there and got the job there and stayed there for 23 years, and that's where I retired from.
Wow. Now, future readers of this story are going to be surprised that a city that has an international exporting steel company and several major companies would have this civil rights problem north of the Ohio River. Can you describe some of the obstacles faced by African Americans at the time that the Middletown campus was created and maybe a few years afterwards? What was it like to be African American in Middletown in the 1960s?
Well, really, basically, I would like to go a little further back than that in order for you to understand how I felt about Middletown. I came here at the age of 11, and I noticed that Middletown was no different than where I came from, Uniontown, Alabama. Like we had, the uptown was for white people, and the downtown was for black people. And you didn't go into stores and buy shoes. I know, you probably think that is strange, but it isn't. Like when I got my first pair of shoes, I had a string that I measure my foot. But I didn't know that I should start at the big toe and measure front to the back. So my shoes end up too little. You couldn't take them back. What you buy, you didn't try on anything. And you couldn't try on clothes, and you couldn't try on hats and everything. So when I came to Middletown, I noticed that blacks lived in a certain section of town.
Which section?
The south side of town. And there was, on the east side of town, only white people lived. And like Stevie Hightower, if his family, when the open housing law came about, they were the first black family that moved to the east end of town. And they had to hire people to sit on the porch with guns so they could sleep at night. Because they said when black people move into a white people community, their property value went down. And also we had a family on Central Avenue. He came back from the Vietnam War, and he bought a house on Central Avenue, and they tarred his house. And he said that if he could go to Vietnam and fight for someone else's freedom, why is it that when he come back to his country, he doesn't have the same freedom? So when Miami University was built, I really never thought much about it because I knew that Middletown was very segregated. We couldn't go to the Manchester Hotel, only for cleaning. We could not go to the Y. We could not go any place, like everyone else. And even like the park out here, we weren't allowed to go. So when I came out and saw Sam showed the pictures and everything.
About Armco Park?
Yeah, Armco Park. I thought it's almost seemed like another world. I thought, really? Was that really going on in Middletown? That's why I said Middletown was a city within a city, because we were not privileged to see all of Middletown. We knew our place, and that's where we stayed, in our section of town.
I understand that Armco Park did provide a separate park for the African American community. Do you recall using that park, and what was it like?
It was heaven. Douglas Park, to us, that's where everything happened for us there. We not only had tennis court dances, no fights, and we had our community center skating, we had dances, And this was what we did. We didn't think about other parts of the city because we was happy with what we had. So we had our own swimming pool, so it never occurred to us that the other part of town was different. Because like LaSourceville Lake, we was never allowed to go there. It was off limits. So it just that we accepted where we lived and what we did. And I actually, to be honest with you, I think it was religion. Because our churches preach about heaven and hell, and that we should not want that which is on earth, because when we die, we have to have a book to show all the good things, and that we will be in heaven and the streets are made of gold. So I think we were sort of brainwashed to accept our surroundings, and maybe it was to protect us, and we didn't, know that. But I think that's what was behind the whole thing, to make us want to get to heaven. So we don't need those things that was not good for us. So I think this is what happened. We more or less we accepted the religion part of it.
When the Middletown campus opened, and before then, a few African Americans did attend classes at the high school location before the campus opened, and some people did attend the campus here at MUM. Were there any rules that said that you're not supposed to go? Was it social rules? Was it written rules?
I think it was social rules. We never instilled in our kids that they want a better education, that we want a generation to be better than the last generation. And I think that when we were able, after the civil rights law and everything opened up for us, we didn't talk to our kids and let them know how hard it was, that what we got, we didn't always have. So I think that we accepted that we were living a little bit better, so we never thought about education, going to college.
When the college did open, within a few years, there were faculty of color here. Do you recall any of those faculty?
No, because I didn't come out this way. I worked, and the only time I'd start coming out here is when I retired, because I always wanted to come out and listen to speakers and learn more. So that's when I started coming out here. I never thought of Miami University any other way.
Another question I'd like to ask you, did you ever know a gentleman named Leon Childs?
No.
Okay. And now when you walk around campus and you see students of color, what is it that you would like to say to them?
Well, I would like to say to them, I hope they're getting a good education. I hope they're not out here partying and just to be out here just to be partying, and that I hope that they go far in life, and whatever they are learning, I hope they teach someone else, bring some, encourage someone else to also seek a good education.
When the campus was founded, the original committee wanted to create opportunities. Do you see those opportunities now rolling out for the entire community?
I really can't answer that. I don't know. I know why I started my scholarship, because I wanted to give single mothers an opportunity to get a good education, and I Pacific said for Miami University only.
Okay. And have you met any of the scholarship recipients? We can't name them, but have you met any of those young ladies, and what have they said to you?
I came out to a scholarship banquet, and I met 3. And one family thanked me for the scholarship. And plus, I had a little problem with my scholarship. When I finished paying it off, first it was sent a letter telling me that my scholarship was to do things around campus, like fix, a Finkelman door and things like that. And it never mentioned what I said what I wanted. So I have a bad habit of when I get information, I don't read it right then, and maybe I sit down and later on, maybe 6 months later, I think, let me read this. And then I found out that my scholarship was given to a white girl. And so the name and the address, I thought, I don't think black person live in this community. In fact, I know a black person will not be living in this community. So I call my daughter, since she has a computer, I said, I need you to look up this name and this address and tell me whether they're black or whether they're white. So he looked at them and said, my grandson called me and said, I hate to tell you this, but she's all white. So I called and I said, I think my scholarship said African American single woman with children. That's what it said, and that's what I want. So she said to me that she thought it was against the law to pay, to put my scholarship like that. And I said, well, if it's against the law, I want my money back. Because if that was the case, you should not have accepted my money. And I definitely do not appreciate you giving my scholarship to a white person. So this time I got my information. They just gave me the name, but they didn't give me where the person lived. So now I'm trying to find out whether my scholarship is being done the way I-Pacific said it should be done. And then my letter they sent me said that I went to college, and I never been to college, so that was false information. So I have to call them and say, I have never been to college, and the reason why I gave my scholarship, because when I go places, I don't see diversity, and that bothers me tremendously. When I go to the city building, I don't see diversity, so that bothers me, and I wonder why is it that blacks cannot get jobs. Apparently, they need a better education. And then when I went to Hamilton and worked, you don't see blacks. You don't see diversity. So that's why I started my scholarship to try to encourage black women to get involved and do things. And don't think they only belong in a certain box. Get outside of your box.
Is there anything else you would like to add to the record on this question about Miami Middletown?
Well, when I first got my scholarship paid for, they invited me out. And I thought it was kind of funny because everybody looked at me like, oh, what is she doing here? Why is she here?
At a party?
Yes. And I thought it was kind of cute because I knew why I was there. And even people that I've known for years and have talked with and knew, they never came up to me and, act like they didn't know me. And I thought, boy, this is very interesting. And so I always get a kick out when I come in and I'm the only black person. And it's like nobody come and sit at my table and let's talk politics or something. As if, why is she here? It's because I gave money and started a scholarship, and you should come and talk to me to find out what type of scholarship I gave. And maybe you would like to have some friends donate to my scholarship.
I think that's a wonderful approach.
Yes.
Perhaps this will set a lesson and we can get more people to set up more scholarships and to think about that.
I hope so. And I really hope that people, when they start their own scholarship, that they will follow through and give it for diversity. Look at diversity when they give them.
I noticed that you are a member of the NAACP. Would you like to talk to us about that and any connection to any events at Miami Middletown?
Well, I joined the NAACP when I was about 23, and I think I joined mainly because we had a Reverend James Holloman. He was the minister at United Missionary Baptist Church. And I never joined church before. I always went to church because I had to go. But I didn't join church until I was 29, and I joined his church because it wasn't about heaven and hell. It's about accomplishments and question our surroundings and why aren't we doing better than what we are doing. And the NAACP at that time, Mr. Louis Cox was president, and we used to do, and going to United Missionary Baptist Church, one time when we tried to get jobs at the library, we, in order to force them to hire blacks, we were very dissatisfied that the only person there that had black was the one that did the cleaning. So we took out all the books to force them. We were really very active and to take out all the books to force them to hire some blacks in certain positions. We did a lot of things in Middletown under James Holloman and the NAACP at that time. And to Martin Luther King birthday, federal law, we campaigned in NAACP, we campaigned against the city because it was a federal holiday. It took them about 2 years before they would recognize Martin Luther King Day as a holiday. So their argument was they had personal day and they couldn't see themselves recognizing. The employees said they could not see themselves giving up their personal day, and the city said they couldn't afford to pay them for another holiday. So it took them a long time to recognize Martin Luther King Day and close the building rather than start giving us a program down there for 2 hours and say, thank you, goodbye. And so to join the NAACP, I thought there were so many things that we could do to challenge Middletown and what they were doing to black people. And that's what we did. We would have meetings with the post office to find out why aren't they hiring black people. We would have meetings with Doug Bean to find out why he wasn't closing the library. Federal holiday, we had meetings with the banks to find out why they could not recognize Martin Luther King Day as a holiday because it was a federal holiday. So the NAACP, those are the things we did. Okay.
Did any speakers come to Middletown that made the NAACP proud to the Middletown campus? Did Benjamin Hooks?
Yes.
Did you attend the Benjamin Hooks
event?
Event?
Yes, I attended Benjamin Hook, and I think that's what inspired me to want to come out here more, to listen to more speakers.
Were you surprised to hear that Benjamin Hooks was coming here?
Yes, I was. Yes, I was surprised to hear that Benjamin Hook was going to come. And plus, we had an ebony fashion show out here. Yes. It was really nice. Nita Scott Jones, she's the one that brought it to Miami University.
Do you recall what year that might have been?
No, I don't. All I know is Anita, she brought it out here to Miami University.
Okay. Over the years, there has been some diversity programming at the Middletown campus, and sometimes around civil rights, sometimes around Martin Luther King Day. Do you have any comments about those events?
Yes, I used to come to the Martin Luther King holidays because I wanted to see how far we have come in life after all the things that he believed in and worked toward. And so one celebration I came out and I said, I am tired of coming to Feel Good Day because we don't accomplish anything. Every year we talk about the same thing and every year we're at the same place. So I can't believe, why are we doing that? So really, basically, I stopped going to the holidays because I did not see anything accomplished. I believe in when you set a goal, you should follow through on that goal and see some progress. And I didn't see any progress, so that's why I call it the Feel Good Day. We go home and we forget why we went to the program in the first place, and then work toward making things, coming through with the things that we talked about.
Sometimes in this last year, 2016, there have been a lot of people talking about we used to feel good back in the day, or we'll make America great again. Have you any comments about that 2016 theme?
Well, my comment is when Donald Trump said, I want to make America great again, I forever watch and wait for a newscaster to say, what year are you talking about? And then tell us about that year and what was going on at that time. And if he's talking about the 1950s, that put me back in doing domestic work, working mediocre jobs. And even at Armco, when they discriminated against blacks working out there were certain jobs they wouldn't give them. So they got sued for their discrimination. So it bothers me that if he's talking about the 60s, then I remember the Ku Klux Klan coming to Middletown and parading. So to me, he's saying that he wants white only to have the best of the best, and blacks and browns do mediocre jobs and never go to college and never want anything other than going to heaven and hell, going to church and having their religion. So this bothers me. And then I noticed that since he became president, he's bringing out a lot of some very bad things that's going to happen. And then it bothered me that since President Obama, how he harassed him for 8 years. And I think, how can America, this America, that blacks go to war and get killed and die for the country and come back to the country and find out their rights are not as equal to whites. So this bothers me also. And it also bothered me that everything he campaigned on, if he doesn't follow through for what he said, I believe that there will be a war between the race. Because he has to, the things he said, the white people, that's what they want. And he has to follow through with everything he said, and I don't think he can do that. And the fact that he wouldn't show his taxes show that he really is not the best of the best of the best that we can have for a president.
So if we take this back to what Middletown campus can do for our students in the next 50 years, what do you think we should make sure we do as part of their whole person education?
To tell the truth and make us aware, make us think. I like when I hear a speaker, if they say something I can't get out of my mind, when I go home, I can hear it. And that makes me want to do something about it. And this is what I hope that the campus would do, to talk to students, to make them think. Is this where, what can we do to make things better? Is things not going the way they should be going? So this is what I hope the Miami University would do.
Is there anything else that you want future scholars to know as part of this interview? I hope more black people would give scholarship for people of color. All right, and with that,
that they feel that their money, they can share it with other people. They don't have to keep it all to themselves. They can give it to the next generation to improve us, our people.
And with that, I'd like to know if I have your permission to discontinue the interview.
Yes, you do.
Thank you.